Welcome to the Realtist Report. I'm your host, Darryl Powell-Lee, and also Dearborn member. Today we have Sanina Ellison-Jones with us, and you're going to hear me at some point during this interview call her coach. And the reason I call her coach is because she happens to be my managing broker and also my mentor. Welcome, Sanina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, for Realtist Nation that doesn't know you, for any of our viewers who are not familiar with real estate, because you can't be familiar with real estate if you don't know who Sanina Ellison-Jones is, can you start by telling me, how did you find real estate?
Oh, wow. Well, I'll introduce myself. I am Sanina Ellison-Jones, managing broker for Chicago Homes Realty Group and CEO, and also a very proud member of the Dearborn Realtist Board. Currently serve as the second vice president of the Dearborn Realtist Board. I found real estate when I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Some years ago, I was introduced to that book. I forget how. And it really kind of changed the trajectory of my thinking as it pertains to money and wealth. I initially started in real estate as a real estate investor while I worked at the time for JP Chase. And I just was really, really interested in making money from real estate. So
That's a good motivation.
I started out buying real estate. And my experience with the real estate broker who I worked with wasn't a very good one.
Okay.
And so I used that opportunity to get my license and kind of dive deeper into learning about the business. And then I just developed a passion for it once I became licensed myself.
So, all right. The episode before you, we had Foster Smith here, and Foster told us a story about how she wanted to purchase a home with her husband and didn't know where to start, so she decided to become a real estate broker herself to get the job done. And the similarity that I'm hearing is that you, as an investor in real estate, didn't have a great experience with a broker, so you decided, hey, I'm going to be a broker?
Exactly.
Right, so that sort of mentality, that sort of go-getter, starter mentality, would you say is needed to be a real estate agent in today's?
Absolutely. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You're an independent contractor, so you have to have, a little bit of get up and go about yourself. Some tenacity in order to pursue the license. You have to pass the test, and there's a lot of information that you have to be able to digest, but then also to then compartmentalize that information enough to then turn it into an actual full-fledged business for yourself.
Okay. So with the poor examples or the poor experience that you had with these brokers that made you want to do this myself, that DIY, could you tell me some of the bad things you experienced with those brokers?
So, obviously, as an African American, I was looking for property on the south side of Chicago. Okay. And the broker that represented me initially was not from my community. And she quickly revealed that she had no true interest in serving in the capacity as a real estate broker. Information for me was seemingly scarce. I don't recall receiving things like a CMA or comparable properties. Okay.
And so for those that don't know, what is a CMA?
A CMA is a comparative market analysis. So typically a real estate broker would provide you something similar to an appraisal, which helps you to assess value.
Got it.
And so I didn't feel like I received a lot of information. And luckily, I was as hyped as I am that really kind of knew what I was looking for anyway, so I didn't need a whole lot of hand-holding, but I certainly received none. And even in some of the showings, she would just stand by the door. She wouldn't, here's the kitchen and here's the bathroom. She was not very descriptive or helpful. It just felt like she was just trying to hurry up and get it over with. I do believe I ended up working with someone else at some point in the process because I think I just had enough of her. But she just wasn't very helpful, wasn't very informative, didn't take the initiative. I felt like I found all the properties on my own. And so I think my biggest takeaway was this is one of the largest purchases that a person will make in their life, at least initially.
Right.
And, I think a real estate broker's role should be much more consultative. There may not be, depending on the type of personality that you get in terms of your client, they may have a lot of information. And quite frankly, today, this was 15 years ago, but today even more information is available to our clients online. And so a lot of my clients are savvy. So I take a consultative role with them and, what do you think and how can I assist you and what additional resources can I help you with and how can I be a resource to you throughout the transaction, even if you found the house and you're ready to move forward, explaining to them what the next steps are and setting healthy expectations. I think a lot of that was missed.
So then when she's standing at the door and you're walking around learning the property on your own, at what point did you think that, this is not what a real estate broker does? When did you feel like, not only is something missing, but I can do this better? So,
mind you, I'm buying my first property. I'm about 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
So I didn't have a whole lot of patience to figure out, how to best work with this young lady. I was really looking for something, and I had a timeline to meet. Okay. So I was very laser focused at that time.
Right.
But when I went to purchase my second property, I certainly didn't use her, and I think that's when I had another experience, a new experience with another broker. That comparison immediately showed me, oh, she didn't do her job, because I didn't know what a broker's job was.
Right.
I didn't have any point of reference at that point. So the second experience helped me realize, oh, she definitely didn't do her job well. And the second experience was with a broker who was from our community, or from the community where I was purchasing, and she was extremely helpful. I still know her to this day, and she coached me to get into the business and was probably instrumental, her and her partner, in me joining the real estate industry.
Got it. So we went from investor to real estate broker, so now you're operating as Sanina Ellison, licensed real estate broker.
Right.
How did you go from real estate broker to CEO of your own brokerage and managing broker?
Life just has a way of providing you with experiences that are life lessons.
Okay.
And each one of these bad experiences, I took something great away from. So I started my real estate career with a large brokerage.
Okay.
And like Chase, I got really good training in sales training. And so with this company, they offered a lot of great training. And so I took, all of that. But I definitely felt like a small fish in a large ocean. Just felt like a number. Definitely didn't feel a culture of inclusion.
Okay.
And I joined a smaller brokerage, which that experience taught me that small brokerages can do just as good of a job as large brokerages can do. Unfortunately, that wasn't a good fit for me either. And so, after lots of prayer and consulting a lot of my mentors, I wanted to create a culture that was inclusive and very team-oriented.
Okay.
That provided brokers with the tools that they need to do their job. But I felt like in the last company there was a lot of shiny things, is what I like to call them. So I had 4 websites and 3 different CRM tools, but I had no clients.
CRM? Could you?
I'm sorry.
Could you explain what CRM is?
I speak real estate jargon.
Yeah.
CRM is a customer relationship management software, so it helps you to manage your clients and your transactions.
Okay.
So I had all these shiny things, all these tools, but I had no clients, and I didn't necessarily have a blueprint on how to obtain them. And so I wanted to start a company that was inclusive, that was team-oriented, in that where I was accessible to the team, where it wasn't just a number and figure it out, but you actually had someone that you could look to as a coach or a mentor, and someone who took the time to coach and mentor and actually be able to be touched by the team.
So that's a great segue into why I call you Coach. Right, so I am a real estate broker at Chicago Homes Realty Group. You may have seen my Tuesdays tips on Instagram, IGTV to be specific, and a lot of those things that you're hearing me say, I'm really regurgitating from Sanina Ellison-Jones. She has been, as I said, a coach and a mentor, and making me the best real estate broker I can possibly be. Enough about our relationship, because that's an entire segment, and we won't do that. We'll cater to Realtist Nation. I want to continue along this path from investor to real estate broker to now owner of Chicago Homes Realty Group. So this, just as everything else, starts out as an idea. Right? So Chicago Homes Realty Group is just an idea. Would I imagine one broker? Right? So how do you go from just being a managing broker, or wanting to be a managing broker and having a brokerage, to bringing that to fruition? Like, could you walk us through what that looks like?
So it actually started, well, it did start as one, and it quickly became two with my husband. But again, a lot of skills that you learn in corporate America are transferable into this industry.
Okay.
I was just having that conversation with someone the other day. Oftentimes they're called different things, but they are often very transferable. It was a process. I started out in my living room.
Okay.
I read.
Was that, when you say start out your living room, does that mean your home address was your office?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Like 6-foot table, decals stuck to the window, and I'm in business.
Wow. Okay.
Per the Illinois Department of Professional Regulations rules, I met all the guidelines and standards, and I was in business. Chicago Homes Realty Group was official, but I didn't want it to be named, Sanina Jones Realty Group, or I didn't want it to be named after me. I wanted to create a legacy that could far outlive me. Okay. So the hope and the goal is that this grows and becomes something bigger than myself.
Why is that important?
Leaving a legacy is important. Because I have children. Okay. It's important because, I plan on, someone like yourself or anyone a part of our company who has aspirations to lead, to be able to do so. I like to create things, and so I like to create leaders, and I like to create and develop brokers, and just see people reach their full potential. So that's something that's innately in me that I think I'm better at than being a broker. Okay. And so I would love to move into that space and just see others flourish and grow.
So in a perfect world, you would sit back and actually be that coach and have a team full of brokers that are going out and creating great experiences for those that are purchasing or investing in property?
Nothing would make me happier than to see everyone that's a part of Chicago Homes be immensely successful.
Chicago Homes Realty Group sounds like a place you guys might want to contact for information. I want to transition into, and it seems like there's a theme in you and your personality in terms of doing it yourself and then creating an SOP, a standard operating procedure, for how you would like to see your principles and morals as far as real estate is concerned, how you would like to see that placed upon the world. I'd like to talk about your relationship with Dearborn. You introduced yourself to Realtist Nation as Vice President of the Dearborn Realtist Board, and as vice president in that organization, I'm sure you didn't start there. Right. I'm sure you started much as most members in the organization does. Is just someone who paid their dues and became a member of this organization. So can you tell me about what attracted you to the Dearborn Realtist Board, and then continue on to tell us how you wanted to step up and become an officer in this organization?
Wow, I don't know if we have enough time for me to go through all of that, but I'll try. I learned about the Dearborn Realtors Board several years ago, and I was reintroduced to the Dearborn Realtist Board. I joined as a member, and I got started because I just wanted to help. You know, it's an African American real estate trade association who is focused on democracy and housing. And I don't know that I knew what that meant exactly, but I knew that it meant something good to us in our community, and I knew that anyone advocating for African Americans in real estate was a good thing. And so naturally I have a servant's heart, a heart to serve others, and I've served in various capacities in other organizations. And so I thought, well, why wouldn't I serve for an African American trade association that serves our community? And so I joined, and I did that, and you know, just attending a membership meeting or, you know, volunteering wasn't enough. So I applied for the board, and I was humbled to be accepted as a board of director member, and I believe at some point, maybe even at the same time, I became president of the Realtist Women's Council, which is an affiliate of the Dearborn Realtist Board. And so I was serving congruently as a board member of the Dearborn Realtist Board and the president of the Realtist Women's Council. And so the Realtist Women's Council, but this is going to be right in line. The Realtist Women's Council, our mission on that side was financial literacy. But the key component here is that this was a defunct organization that hadn't had an active chapter in Chicago in 11 years. And so while I joined to help, I quickly became a leader in the organization, and so those skill sets kind of started to transcend, and I became a leader in the Dearborn Realtors Board innately as well. And then I was introduced to one of our mentors by my, who introduced me to Ron? Actually, I forget how we were introduced, but I was introduced to one of my mentors. My husband is also my business partner, Courtney Jones, who's the president of the Dearborn Realtors Board, and Ron Branch was our mentor, and he introduced us to the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, where we went to a national convention.
We have Ron Branch on the show. So the Dearborn Realtors Board, and there was a lot to unpack there, and I'll try for Realtist Nation. So you do serve as a vice president, second vice president for the Dearborn Realtors Board, but you talked about RWCI, right? So the Realtist Women's Council of Illinois, and how you're president of that, and how that chapter was laying dormant when you became a member, or when you were...
I may have been, I think I was a member of Dearborn already, and then maybe a year later I became, maybe a year later.
Are you seeing this theme? Like, you're making something out of nothing where there was nothing. You're making something flourish. Are you starting to see the theme?
I am.
You starting to see a theme here? So with Women's Council, as affectionate as that organization is, and I use the word affectionate because I've never seen a group of more passionate people about the mission. Can you talk a little bit about what that mission is for Women's Council?
Sure. Our mission is to educate low to moderate income communities on homeownership and property acquisition, and to also distribute financial literacy information throughout the community. Ways that we do that is through group learning techniques. We have monthly membership meetings. We host financial literacy classes monthly via schools or churches or other organizations or other entities that we can partner with, such as South Suburban, which we partnered with before, and others. And we have 2 annual signature events each year. We're very big on women empowerment and uplifting women in the real estate industry. So one of our largest events that we have annually is the Hard Hats and Heels event.
Great event.
One of my favorites.
Great event.
One of my favorites. It's all about women development, women in development, women developers, so women developing real estate throughout the city of Chicago. Huge event. It started as just the thought of how do we showcase women in a space that's traditionally a male-dominated space. And I met some women who were already doing this, but I also, at the first Hard Hats and Heels event, was introduced to women who were in this space. So it started to attract other individuals who were in this space as well. And so that's grown from what we initially started out with about 45 people to now over 100 attendees in the third year. And we're looking forward to that to continue to grow. And then our second signature event is our Women of Excellence Mad Hatters event. So that started out as a tea party, a hat luncheon. And it's grown to recognize women in business for the excellent work that they do. And so that's continued to grow, and we're really excited about where that's headed. So those are our two signature events. We're all about uplifting women in the community, uplifting women in the industry.
Terrific. So with Dearborn being, I guess, the parent organization to Women's Council, let's talk about last week. Something happened last week. There was Foster was here last week, and we were talking about an event that was happening on Halloween, and so that event has happened, and I'd like to hear from you. How do you feel about that event? First, tell Realtist Nation about the event, and then talk about how you felt about it.
So the event was the State of Housing in Black America. It's the Sheba report. We had a town hall and a masquerade ball. And so one way you'll know that I was a part of an event is if it was fun and informative. So we had very, very extremely informative program where we brought in Mark Alston from California, who has served in various capacities throughout the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. He is the PAC chair, and he just floored the room with the data and information that he shared about the state of housing in Black America, particularly as it pertains to Chicago. So that happened, and then I was awarded the Ripley B. Meade Jr.
Talk about it. You awarded the. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was definitely going to touch on that award. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's talk about you being awarded.
A service award for outstanding service for the Dearborn Realtist Board, which I was extremely, extremely proud to be a recipient of.
Well deserved. Well deserved. I mean, you are in the service industry, but you do more than just service the industry. You, as you said, educate. You build up the community through real estate, which I think is an amazing thing. And one of the things that inspired me to ascend to the same type of heights that you've reached in terms of making a difference. I post all the time, and I posted a picture of us together, and what I said was that you shake Chicago, right? And you absolutely do, and the community needs more people like you. We would be in a much better place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You deserve it. So the Sheba report, State of Housing in Black America, I had Foster touch on that a little bit. Can you tell me about where Black people are in America as far as housing is concerned?
Right now, I believe the report just came out as of October 1st, the new report. And nationally, we are at 42.7% in housing as of we were recently at 40%, and prior to that we were at 42%. So it's been toggling back and forth from 40 to 42%. But the statistics show that about 42% of African Americans throughout the country are homeowners, in comparison to about 72% of our white counterparts. And so that disparity is a gap that the Dearborn Realtist Board and the National Association of Real Estate Brokers across the country has been working to lessen. And there's a number of ways that we've been doing that, but we do have a national initiative to put 2 million new homeowners in homes over the next 5 years, which was started about 2 years ago by our prior NARAB president. And our goal is to continue to work to lessen that gap, continue to educate the community. We understand that it starts with education, but also to continue to create economic opportunity for those working in this space. The National Association of Real Estate Brokers is a place for all real estate professionals who serve the mission of democracy and housing, and so that's ultimately what we're looking to do.
So with our numbers, as you referenced, I believe 42%, right, of African Americans are homeowners. I understand that this is the lowest it's been since 1965, I believe the year is. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So why is it important for black people to own homes? Why not just rent?
Well, statistics show that 90% of wealth is built through real estate in this country. And so home ownership is the cornerstone of wealth. It creates wealth, but it also creates stability. I was just sharing with someone the other day, we as a community are losing Big Mama's house. Mm-hmm. And what Big Mama's house represents in our community is the stability factor. When I was a kid, my great-grandmother had a home where, if we went to visit, there was aunts and uncles and cousins, and there was just people everywhere. My family was there, and for me, it was this huge space, but it provided security. You knew you had a place to sleep, even if it was on the couch or 5 people in a bed, but you knew that you had the stability of a home. And so now, without that stability, people are a bit more transient, and we're losing wealth without the stability of a home. I also remember the statistic that Mark shared with the stats of homeowners, I believe, have about $7,000 in wealth, or homeowners have about $35,000 in wealth, and renters have about $7,000 in wealth. Mm-hmm. And that number continues to grow depending on what community you're from. And so, he also talked about having a head start, based on where we've come from and not having that head start. We're still trying to catch up. And homeownership is at least a great way to stay in the race.
We have learned so much from you, and we definitely are going to have to bring you back. We're running out of time. I hate this part of the show because I have to say goodbye to such amazing guests. You've been an amazing guest today. Realtist Nation thanks you. I thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and we're going to have you back. We're definitely going to have you back. So I am real estate broker Darryl Powell Lee, and you are?
Sanina Ellison-Jones, managing broker and CEO of Chicago Homes Realty Group and second vice president of the Dearborn Realtist Board.
That's a long title. And this is the Realtist Report. We'll see you next time.
Bye.